So I get asked a lot about where are the best places to live in the Virginia Beach through Williamsburg area that's within my budget. So what I decided to do was to rank all the areas, the cities and the areas in Virginia Beach through Williamsburg, the whole area, from most expensive all the way down to most affordable. So then you can decide for yourself what areas you should probably focus on for the place you want to move to. And you're going to see some cities and you'll see some general areas here. And I will even break down some of the larger cities into more specific areas because a lot of the areas have some drastically different prices even within the same city. And then we'll talk about why each one might be costing differently as well. So number one on the list is going to be the northeastern Virginia Beach area at a median sales price of $672,500. It's pretty high relative to the rest of the area. So if you zoom in, the northeastern side of Virginia Beach is right here. So on the northeastern side, that includes places like Great Neck, Allenton's a great neighborhood, one of the most sought after neighborhoods in Virginia Beach. Bay Colony is over here near the beach, Bay Island. You've got the north end, you've got the ocean front, you've got all the areas closest to the ocean front on the north side that can be upwards of, closer to over $1 million in a lot of cases, $2, $3, $4 million. Now, Great Neck has a lot of areas anywhere from 500 to over $1 million. The further north you go, generally speaking, the higher the price is. But this is going to be the highest price, median sales price in all of the Hampton Roads area. And there aren't too many new construction houses in here either. So these houses are mostly houses built older, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So now number two on the list is, you might be surprised at this, which is the greater Williamsburg city. So actually right in the middle near Colonial Williamsburg is the second highest median sales price in all of Hampton Roads. And it's right in the middle. And that median sales price is $625,000. And so that includes places like Holly Hills, Port Anne. These houses are, 25, 35, 4,000 square feet, but there aren't a lot of houses in the central Williamsburg, the proper city of Williamsburg. So the city of Williamsburg kind of reaches well beyond the area we're talking about here, the central downtown-ish area. You're kind of close to William and Mary, the College of William and Mary. And so the area closest to Colonial Williamsburg as well, it can lead to some higher prices, some historic houses in here. And so that can push the prices up as well, but not as many houses in here, generally speaking. So that leads us over to the number three most expensive area in all of Hampton Roads, and is going back into the Virginia Beach area, which is the southeastern portion of Virginia Beach, with a median sales price of $591,250, which includes places like Pungo in the country, the big countryside on the in the southeastern side, going over into places like Red Mill, Ocean Lakes, Asheville Park, which is one of the most pristine and most in-demand newer construction and new construction areas in all of Virginia Beach, right here. Then the Heritage Park. You've got Lagomar, one of the classic Southeast Virginia Beach areas. Kellam High School District, Ocean Lakes High School District are two of the most in-demand school districts in this area. But you've got a lot of shopping, a lot of newer shopping, newer construction, and this can push the prices up. Then it also includes Sandbridge, which is like a destination beach, these houses are going up over $1 million most of the time. So you've got some nice golf courses over here. You can live your whole life in this section of Virginia Beach. The problem with being in this area is that the drive to the rest of Virginia Beach and the rest of Hampton Roads can be kind of a long drive because you're not that close to interstates. But people love it too because they're close to Oceana Naval Air Station. It's pretty close to things that, if you want to be close to the beach and close to work, if you're on the base, this is a pretty helpful place to live. And of course, the demand of school districts is a big plus. So now coming in at $546,000 is our number four on the list, which is James City County. Going back up around towards Williamsburg, James City County is on the western side of Williamsburg, over closer to Jamestown. This is on this western side over here. Now, this price, you might say, well, why is it so expensive over here? Well, part of it is school district. Jamestown High School District is an in-demand school district, but part of this also is that it has three of the most in-demand and most expensive master plan communities in all of Hampton Roads: Ford's Colony, Governor's Land, and Kingsmill, which are on the south and southwestern corners of James City County. And so if you're in here, you're talking like 3,000-4,000 square feet of houses usually, sometimes less than that. But you'll find that most of these are going to be $500,000 to $600,000 to start, and then they go up to $700,000, $800,000, $1 million, $2 million and up, especially if you get on the water. So this is a very popular place, especially for people that are coming to retire. Very more of a relaxed area, but these three neighborhoods can push up the median sales price in general. But you'll find some other neighborhoods like Peleg's Point, which is still in the sixes, some others that are in that 4, 5, and 6 range that still kind of bring the prices up in the area. So I think that if you want something in the Jamestown School District or in the Williamsburg area, you'll find some great houses here, but it can get a little bit expensive depending on what your budget is. So then coming in fifth at $519,645 median sales price is, believe it or not, Poquoson. Where is Poquoson, Sam? Well, it's on the northeastern side of the peninsula, north of Hampton. Now, this area has a lot of, it's close to the wildlife refuge. It's kind of more country area. It has its own kind of vibe. It's more rural. It's close to, suburban areas near Newport News, but in general, it's more rural. You'll find some larger houses in here, which can affect the median sales price, as well as more newer construction. Some neighborhoods, there's places like Back River Cove, Heritage Cove, Hunt Woods, Lakes at Poquoson, Roberts Landing. These places are kind of scattered through Poquoson, and they can bring different price ranges. One of the drawbacks to Poquoson would be of concerns of flooding, especially as you get near the water. And so that's one thing that people often ask about is flooding. And this is one spot that people do kind of trend away from if they're not into the concern of flooding around the streets or even in the yards, etc. And you'll see a theme here. Anything that has a lot of newer construction in the area bumps up the median sales price. So what you'll find is a lot of places that don't have newer construction, that those areas might be cheaper in price, but as soon as you start building new construction in there, that median sales price can shoot straight up. And the reason is because the new construction neighborhoods in the area, in general, they are based in real estate in general, they're priced based on other new construction around it. So just because you have a house in a neighborhood that's $375,000, if that whole neighborhood is that same price and you build a new construction house in there, that house is not valued at $375,000. It's going to be well over that. And so the more new construction you see in an area, that usually leads to a higher median sales price. So the cheapest areas that have the most new construction, that usually means that the rest of the area has pretty relatively cheap houses compared to those new construction. So Poquoson has some new construction and also has more land. So if you do want a little bit more land in rural atmosphere, you can find that potentially in Poquoson. So coming in at number 6 is going into Chesapeake for the first time. It's South Chesapeake, and this is the area down in the south area near Great Bridge, Hickory High School District, Grassfield, going down all the way down closer to the border of Chesapeake. This is a large section of land in the south part of Chesapeake right here. This area has plenty of great neighborhoods, mostly in the 4, 5s, and 6s, and that's of course what makes the median sales price what it is. Great Bridge, Grassfield, and Hickory, 3 of the most in-demand school districts in all of Hampton Roads. So with that, you'll find a lot of houses built in the 80s and 90s, places like Upton Farms, the Etheridge Manor area, but it also goes further north into areas like in Greenbrier, which is close to Virginia Beach, which has lots of shopping and very convenient, close to lots of interstates. And of course, Deep Creek, which is on the southwestern side of this section. This whole area encompasses the South Chesapeake area. And so while you'll find some spots like in the most in-demand parts of Chesapeake in the school districts of Grassfield, Hickory, and Great Bridge, they're going to trend up towards the 5s, 6s, and 7s and higher. You'll find places like in Deep Creek and even Indian River School District in Oscar Smith near Greenbrier. Those might trend lower, but Greenbrier can elevate the value a little bit on demand, even though the school district might not be ranked as high as in an area that's in high demand for other reasons like shopping and convenience to other places and size and just feel of neighborhoods. This is an area as well that has more newer construction. As the further south you go, because there's more land to build, but generally speaking, while there is growth here and there is new construction, it's also way more than what you'll find in Southeast Virginia Beach that has some new construction, but there really is not that much new construction in Virginia Beach. So this is where people often pivot if they don't find what they want in Virginia Beach for new construction. It's not coming in at $499,000 is going into more of a rural part of town, which as you zoom out, see this area in Smithfield over here. The city and town of Smithfield comes in at $499,000, and this is further out. So if you want an actual country town, but you want rural living, but you also want to have general access to some essentials, Smithfield has more of that town feel, but you're also very close to lots of countryside as well. So you have a mixed balance of rural, super rural, and this older country downtown, which leads us over kind of just right next door, which is the North Isle of Wight area, which is close to Route 17 here near Carrollton. Carrollton has some neighborhoods that are important. Founders Point, Eagle Harbor, a couple neighborhoods very close to Route 17. These are coming in at $486,790. So this is a kind of a mixture. You'll find the newer construction are going to be $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. You'll find some that are in the 3s and 4s. So that kind of brings that median sales price in that range. But if you do want newer houses, but you don't want to necessarily be right in the middle of everything, and you don't want to pay too much, let's just say if you want to go over to Langley Air Force Base, which is across Route 17, take the James River Bridge, this is a great spot to consider for newer construction. I'd say 5, 10, 15-year-old houses in that 5 and 6 range, maybe even 7 and 8 if you want to go into like Founders Point, that kind of a location. But if you want land, you want 5, 10 acres, you can find that also in Carrollton in the areas around North Isle of Wight. Now coming in at $479,750, number 9 is York County. Going back up north towards Williamsburg and near Newport News, York County is actually it's right next to Hampton, Newport News, and Poquoson. It goes all around near Grafton, going further up through the actual town of Yorktown, and then going up over into the eastern side near Williamsburg on the other side of the Yorktown Naval Weapons Station. So you'll find some really nice neighborhoods in here, places like Marlbank Farm, Queens Lake. Running Man is on the south side of York County. Scamino Hills is on the north side of York County, closer to Williamsburg. Tab Lakes is on the south side. You got Coventry. You'll find a little bit of new construction in here, but not a whole lot. This area is mostly kind of a little bit older in construction. Also in demand for school districts. So if you want a place that has some of the most in-demand school districts in the area, York County, some of the best in the state. And that's one of the reasons why the prices are what they are. Now coming in at number 10, going back on the south side of Hampton Roads into the Virginia Beach area, which is the north central section of Virginia Beach right here. Next to Great Neck, you've got Little Neck. So Little Neck has places like Kings Grant, Middle Plantation, even further south, places like Malibu and Birchwood Gardens is included in this north central section. This area can be going up into, if you're along the water, you're talking over $1 million, $2 million, $3 million sometimes. These nice waterfront properties are exclusive in some awesome spots that can get you all over the area, the Tidewater area, if you want to be on water. And so the further south you go, the cheaper it gets. But anything in the northern side of Little Neck is going to be starting in the 7s and 8s, usually going up into over $1 million, 1.2, 1.5. Then if you're the central side, Kings Grant is one of the most in-demand neighborhoods in all of Virginia Beach. It has one of the most in-demand elementary schools. Kingston Elementary School. This area is more like in the 550 to 750, 800 range, unless you go to the water. Then further south, you're talking 400 and 500, and even into the 350 range in this area near Malibu, going towards Birchwood Gardens. This area is known also for easy access to the beach, easy access to lots of shopping, easy access to the rest of Virginia Beach, and also at the same time, you're kind of in a big cul-de-sac. You can see here, there's no other way out north. So if you go into Little Neck, you're probably only coming in because you live there or you know somebody there. So that brings us to number 11, going in at $447,000. Interesting spot if you haven't looked into it much, which is northeastern Suffolk, which is close to a place like Harborview near the Riverfront Golf Club. It's a real nice new construction back in here. Back about 20 years ago, this area exploded, and this was almost nothing back then before then, and it turned into a lot. And this is where that newer construction at that point brought the prices up, and so the rest of Suffolk has a lot lower median sales price as opposed to the northeastern Suffolk area. That includes places like Cedar Point, Burbage Grant, Bennett's Creek. This whole area around here, some newer construction also in that Bennett's Creek area right over here, which is really nice big park over there, disc golf courts, which is nice, but also you're close to interstates. You've got, not only do you have routes taking you to the James River Bridge and towards Norfolk, but you also have 664 going into Newport News, going down into Chesapeake, and all the way around the Hampton Roads area. So it's very convenient, and you're close to the tunnel, so it's not that big of a deal driving across. It still can be an issue. It's not as big of a deal though. So it just feels newer in this area, and that's what brings the prices up, median sales price wise. So coming in at number 12 is an area back in the Virginia Beach area, which is the south central part of Virginia Beach, but there are two parts of south central Virginia Beach. This one is in the Prince Princess Anne and Salem area, going into the almost into the southeastern side, going closer to Nemo Parkway. But Princess Anne Road, this long road here, as well as Salem near Salem High School, this area has a big mixture. Some newer construction over, like, so for example, places like Christopher Farms. This one built in the 80s into the 90s. Places like that. Indian River Plantation, an exclusive over $1 million mostly neighborhood right here. Then next to that is Courthouse Estates back in the 550s and the 650 range. But then there are a lot of neighborhoods that are like 350, 325, 415. Salem Woods is up into the 500, 550 range. The whole area near Princess Anne, near Independence. Glenwood's in the 4s, 350, 550 range. So you'll find a big mixture, and depending on what size of house you want, you might find what you want cheaper too. So 1,200 square feet is possible in the 325 range in some parts near Salem High School. As well as going back over towards the eastern part of this area, you'll find more construction that's newer and a little bit larger, but of course higher prices as well. So coming in at number 13 on the list, this is at the median sales price of $430,000. Going back over to the peninsula is a very interesting part. One of my favorite parts of all of the peninsula and all of Hampton Roads is the west central side of Newport News. And that includes places around Christopher Newport University, Riverside, near Hydenwood, got James Landing, which is one of my favorite neighborhoods in all of Hampton Roads, which is closer to the water. And over, of course, a very interesting kind of unique spot is Hilton further south as well. This area, it kind of gets forgotten because it's in Newport News. This is also near some nature areas. You have the Nolan Trail, which is a nice trail near the Living Museum, which is next to here near Christopher Newport University, and the Mariners Museum, which is a natural area that's just very quiet. It's just a very relaxed area next to an area that kind of feels a bit blah, honestly. So it's kind of surprising when you drive towards the western side of Newport News because there is so much more serenity, so much more quiet and more natural areas that's not similar to what you might find in the rest of the peninsula closest to this area. So I like this part of Newport News the most. I think it's great, but of course it's the highest median sales price in all of Newport News, so keep that in mind too. So coming in at number 14 at $409,500 is the southwestern Virginia Beach area. So going back into Virginia Beach, you'll find that this whole side, this is southwestern over here near Regent University, over towards Mount Trashmore, Kempsville, Fairfield, Larkspur. This is, I think, one of the most underrated parts of all of Hampton Roads, especially in Virginia Beach, because it has some real nice houses in the 4s, 5s, and 6s, real established neighborhoods, a brick, real nice ranch style and 2-story going into the 5s and 6s. But you can also find some more affordable, like in the 350, 375 price range, and places that are very close by to here too, near Providence Road, Avalon Hills. You got Fairfield, of course, in the 4s, 5s, and 6s. Going further south, you got plenty of shopping, plenty of other neighborhoods like in the 2,000 square foot range, 1,800 square foot range, going closer to Brigadoon, going further south towards Alexandria. This area is very convenient. Lake James, Lake Christopher, two of the most exclusive neighborhoods on lakes in all of Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads. So this whole new southwestern Virginia Beach area, I think for the price is one of the best bang for bucks anywhere in Hampton Roads. I think it's great and it's accessible to lots of places. So we're breaking the threshold of $400,000. We're going into the West Suffolk area. West Suffolk, not Northeast, West Suffolk, not even Central Suffolk, West Suffolk. Over here, way in the middle of nowhere, I would say, but it has some spots that people like because of the land opportunity in West Suffolk. A main place would be a place called Whaleyville, which is again way over here towards Holland. This whole section down here towards Carsville, lots of land, not necessarily massive houses, but you'll find some houses that are big here too. Newer construction is random in here. So you'll find individual ones, but not necessarily neighborhoods. So this is going to be cheaper median sales price, but the reason that this price is even up the way it is because of the land and because of the scattered new construction that's in this area. Otherwise, it's far out. I mean, it's taking you over an hour to get from there all the way into Virginia Beach. More than that in a lot of cases, especially when there's traffic. So it's definitely far out there. And that's one of the reasons and the main reason why it's so cheap. And just coming in at number 16, which is close to the same price, median sales price wise, at $396,500, is Western Chesapeake in towards Northeast Suffolk, which is in Western Branch. This has places like Point Elizabeth, a great neighborhood in Western Branch, and another Jolliffe Landing, which is the new construction neighborhood that's in the 5s, closer to 6s, that's just off of Portsmouth Boulevard, that's on the edge of Western Branch. It's going into Suffolk. That's Again, Western Branch, I think some of the best pricing in all of Hampton Roads for the price school district. Neighborhood-wise, I think the median sales price at $396,500 is very affordable relative to what you get. What you don't get is a lot of everything. You get shopping close by in Portsmouth, in Chesapeake Square Mall and that whole area, but you don't get as much as you would get in Virginia Beach. You don't get as much access to the whole area as you would in Virginia Beach or maybe Norfolk, but you can get there in 30, 35 minutes. So people want this area for that reason. It's accessible, especially if you want to work on the towards the peninsula, but you don't want to live in the peninsula. You can still hit up 664 and get there in not too long of a drive. So now coming in at number 17 at a median sales price of $375,000 is West Norfolk. So you're looking at Norfolk. This is our first time mentioning Norfolk in the video. And West Norfolk is very interesting because it encompasses all of this over here. You got Lambert's Point, you've got Larchmont, you've got Park Place, you've got Barad Park. You've got those types of neighborhoods are going to be priced in the $175 to $300 price range. But then right next to it, you've got Ghent, Chelsea, West Ghent. North of there is Colonial Place, Larchmont, I mentioned before. Those are going to be starting in the $4s and going up into over $1 million. But most of these are going to be 5, 6, and 7, especially in West and in Ghent. That's over that, sometimes 6, 7, 8 and higher, these bigger houses. And so it really depends on where in West Norfolk you're talking about. But generally speaking, the median sales price is going to still be $375. But keep in mind that it really has a wide range depending on what you like. But these are older houses, 1910s, 20s, 30s, 40s houses. So it's a different vibe over here. But lots of restaurants, lots of course, businesses close to downtown. You got downtown Norfolk and Freemason, which is also in the same area. And also, 20, 30 minutes to the beach. Now let's go to number 18, which is for $370,000, Northwestern Virginia Beach. And so that's zooming over to the back into the northwestern side of Virginia Beach, close to Norfolk. This area is also kind of an interesting combination. You've got the north side of this part, which is Chicks Beach, which has a really, it's a nice neighborhood beach, a little bit higher in price relative to the median. So is Thorogood, one of the premier brick ranch and 2-story neighborhoods, quiet, that could be anywhere from $475,000, $500,000 up to well over $1 million on the water. But then going further south from there, as you get creep further south, separate from Witch Duck Point and over towards Saw Pen Point, that area is going to be 600 plus. Other than that, you're going to find places like Aragona. You got places like L&J Gardens on the northwestern corner over here, which is going to be in that 475, 450 range. But then Aragona, 300, 350. You've got over closer to Wesleyan Drive. You've got some neighborhoods that are in the 2s, 250, 300s. In Cypress Point Country Club right next to that, it's going to be more like in the 450 to 700 price range. But you get a mixed bag, and the further down south you get in this area, you get a little bit cheaper prices too. So going down into Pocahontas Village is more like 300, 325. And so you can be near town center and get a pretty affordable house, very close to all the action. But the demand of the school district can affect pricing here. You're in Bayside, so close to Bayside, close to Aragona, you're going to be a little bit cheaper in price, generally speaking. But now coming in at $350,000 median sales price is going back to Norfolk. It's North Norfolk. So this area is going closer to Ocean View, which is on the higher end of this range. You're talking Ocean View near the water. This has one of the most underrated areas near the beach that you find. Now, these are older houses. $350,000 is cheap, but you'll find some like maybe within a mile from there in Bayview, for example. But on the water, it's again back to $800,000 and up. East Beach over on the side here, this is going to be starting at 6 and 7, going up to well over $1 million. Then you got Bel Air, really underrated neighborhood, just right off of Little Creek Road, real nice in the corner. You got a lot of houses in there like 375, 350, 400. Of course, Bayview I mentioned already, Colonial Heights and Ocean Air. All through here, there are some kind of like 40s style houses that are in the 325 to 375 range. So anything near Little Creek, Camellia Acres, anything in here like around 325 to 350, 375. There's a lot of houses in here that's what's keeping the prices in that median sales price right around that 350 price range. So you're not getting a lot of unique amenities except for if you're close to the ocean. Otherwise, you're just getting a pretty functional house for the price. So that brings us over to number 20 on the list. Coming in at $347,000 median sales price is back to the south central part of Virginia Beach, but not near Princess Anne. Going further north from there, south central area near Lynn Haven Mall. This area, I would consider this the Rosemont area. This has places like Chimney Hill, Green Run, also Windsor Woods and Princess Anne Plaza on the north side over here. This whole section right around here, close to the Oceana Naval Air Station on the west side and near Lynn Haven Mall. Lots of shopping and restaurants over there. Other than that, a lot of residential neighborhoods. Even the highest price areas in here are mostly going to be in the $400 to $500 price range. Most of these are going to be under $4. So you can find some good value in the $425 to $375 range, going towards Mount Trashmore. You'll find some nice houses around $400,000 close to the lake near Mount Trashmore. I love Windsor Woods for that reason. So you find some good value in here, but at the same time, some spots that just aren't that super exciting. Chimney Hill, Green Run, it's just kind of there. It's kind of 70s houses. I don't really like the way that they're built, to be honest with you. So, you'll find kind of a mixed bag in this area, but that's why the prices are in the $347 median sales price range. So now we're going to zoom out. Number 21 is for $337,497 median sales price is the Central Suffolk area. Now we're talking, could be a mixture of downtown, and then going around there, you'll find some spots that are a little bit higher in price. But mostly, you're talking a lot of downtown parts of town. And I'll drop a pin here. You're going to notice a lot of like narrow streets, older houses. It feels kind of a rundown part of town. Some places don't feel super well kept up. You'll find some cool little downtown nooks around in Suffolk, some nice restaurants in the downtown section. But for the most part, it's not really that much that people really talk about or go out of their way to see. Now, if you zoom out, if you want new construction, you'll find some value close to OBC Hospital near Godwin Boulevard, some newer construction in the $550 range. So for that equivalent house, you'll be paying maybe $700 or more, maybe even in Virginia Beach. So you're definitely getting a value in this area. But other than that, this is what keeps the prices lower. Is a lot of houses in the 200s, $275, $250 range. It's going to keep that median sales price on the lower end. So now going in at $315,000, number 22 on the list is East and Northwest Newport News. So I'm kind of going around the area we already talked about. East side, close to Kiln Creek, close to the airport. This side over here near Windsor Great Park, or over here, Rich Neck. Over towards the northwestern side near Fort Eustis, Lee's Mill is a neighborhood over there that I like a lot, that general area. It's like kind of a HOA condo type. There's some townhouses over there. But as you go further down south, I really like Denby Plantation, close to Denby Park. I think that's one of my favorite neighborhoods in the north part of Newport News. You'll find, again, a mixture. Some neighborhoods are going to be in the 250, 275 range. You'll find some 325. Then you'll find some 450 in that, like the Denby Plantation area. As you creep over 450, even 5 and up, you'll find some, especially as you get closer to the water. But if you want a value close to Fort Eustis, close to the Yorktown Naval Weapons Station, close to more businesses over here, or even closer to Williamsburg, but want to be a little bit cheaper, you can check out this northern Newport News or eastern Newport News part of town, closer to the Newport News airport. Now, ringing in at number 23 on the list at $313,000 median sales price is the Langley part of Hampton. Now, it extends over into the northeastern side, over in near Willow Oaks, closer to Fox Hill, going into that section closer towards Grandview, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But as you get closer towards downtown Hampton, you're going to find a lot of these houses are older, 30s, 40s types of houses. But some of these are going to be like, 250, 275, 325 in some of these neighborhoods. And so that keeps it, you're close to Langley, but it's not going to be super expensive in some parts. But these are also, some of these are going to be kind of smaller and even older. They're going to be weird floor plans in some cases. So you got to kind of take what you can get price-wise if you want it to stay lower. Now, if you want to go into the 4 or 5 and up, you're going to be going to the more the rural part of Hampton, towards the northeastern section, closer to Grandview and Fox Hill. We'll talk about that later in a minute. We got places like Back River, Fairfield, Tide Mill Farms. Part of these areas are also going to need some flood insurance in a lot of these spots, so keep that in mind too. That's some of the reason why a little bit of the prices are a little bit cheaper. Is part of that is because you're going to be factoring in flood insurance into the payment, which can affect the pricing and demand for a house at a specific price. Now we're going to go into the first time we'll talk about Portsmouth. Number 24 on the list, which is $308,000 for median sales price, is Portsmouth. And Portsmouth, I feel like gets overlooked a lot. And you see, talked about Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, going into Suffolk, all the neighbor areas. But Portsmouth kind of gets overlooked. And so there are two different parts of Portsmouth. Right now we're talking about the western side of Portsmouth, which blends right into the Churchland, going into the western branch part of Chesapeake, Churchland's Portsmouth. This whole section over here is what we're talking about, and that's the Churchland area. You'll find that if you want a house like it's maybe for $325, you can get a house in Portsmouth that might cost closer to $400 in Virginia Beach. You get a good value over in the western part of Portsmouth. You got Churchland, Long Point, Green Acres, Haddon Point, Sterling Point, some really nice neighborhoods, and I'll show you even some of my favorite parts of town over off Cedar Lane here. That's near Sterling Point. All this area near the water. Again, these are going to be more like $400,000 or $500,000, but these are going to be $550,000, $650,000 and up as you get over into Virginia Beach. So it's value for what you're paying for. They'll still be mostly older houses, 50s, 60s ish in that range, but I'd say value, neighborhood feel, all that considered is pretty good value. Not as much shopping over here, which is one of the reasons why it's a little bit cheaper too. But off of High Street, you'll find some good spots to get over even towards Chesapeake Square, closer to 664, like I mentioned before. For Western Branch, you'll find some of the same shopping that you experience in Chesapeake, Western Chesapeake. You can use the same shopping in Western Portsmouth. It kind of all blends together. So now going to number 25 on the list at $306,000, back to Chesapeake. A little sneaky part of central Chesapeake is what we're talking about now. And the main two primary areas are Norfolk Highlands and South Norfolk. Now, South Norfolk's a pretty significant part of central Chesapeake. These areas are going to be mostly like $300,000, $275,000, $325,000 price range. Some are going to be smaller, but for the size of houses, you're going to be getting a lot per square footage in South Norfolk and also in Norfolk Highlands, which is up the road closer to Indian River Road. Some really nice nooks up towards Sparrow Road. Real nice areas in here. Seminole Park, over towards the water. You're going to be still be paying up to $400,000 or $500,000 and up $600,000-$700,000 on the water. But that, again, for the value for the water access, some of the best you'll find. Most of these though are going to be like Plymouth Park. All these are going to be like in the mostly under $350,000, $325,000. Mostly, unless you do new construction, that's going to be over $450,000. But even that, new construction under $500,000 is very hard to find. You can find that in parts of South Norfolk. Drawback's going to be it's going to be kind of a rundown part of town in some places, but they're trying to renovate a lot of these parts of South Norfolk, but it's still taking some time, so it does feel like an older part of town, but the city is trying to improve it as we go along. Now, let's do number 26. Is at $283,000 median sales price is East Norfolk. Now, East Norfolk is kind of just some of the same parts of like North Norfolk. You'll see it blend into East Norfolk. Larrymore Lawns up here. You'll see Meadowbrook, which is one of the most expensive parts of the eastern part of Norfolk, which I like a lot, as well as Glengarriff, a couple neighborhoods closer to the airport. I like those two a lot, but you'll find a lot of houses that are going to be like $250,000, $275,000, $300,000. Not a whole lot like a uniqueness going on here. You got Norview, 5 Points, which is this area right here, over going towards Ballantyne, towards Ingleside, all the way down further south over here. You kind of get what you pay for, right? That's all kind of always what it is. Like there's not a lot of like newer shopping over here, kind of older parts of town. So I think if you want cheaper houses, you can consider East Norfolk, but just keep in mind, you'll be driving a lot of places out of the area to get some shopping and a lot more things to do, except for the Botanical Gardens. And of course, you'll be closer to the airport. So that's a benefit too if you want to fly in and out of town quite a bit. Now we're going to go for the median sales price at $280,000. Number 27 on the list is South Isle of Wight. Carsville, Windsor, Zuni. I'll show you on the map, zooming way out. So this whole area on the far edge of Isle of Wight County, there's Zuni right there. Not a lot going on. It's country, it's rural, mostly well and septic systems. Not a lot of shopping, not a lot. And you'll be paying, it's cheaper land. Everything's cheaper over here. It's just a farther drive to everywhere else, which is why it's cheaper, right? So there's a give and take there. So I definitely noticed that there's a difference in pricing between the North Isle of Wight area near Carrollton and near Route 17 and the South Isle of Wight County area near Zuni, Windsor. That whole area is going to be a lot cheaper. It's just going to be a lot farther too. So just keep that in mind. So now we're going to go to number 28 on the list. It's $275,000 median sales price is the rest of Hampton, really. And that includes anywhere closer to Buckrow Beach, even going into downtown Hampton, into West Hampton near Wythe, going towards the Hampton Coliseum near Aberdeen Gardens. This, like basically the rest of Hampton is in the median sales price of $275,000. Now, that includes even going towards Salt Ponds in Grandview near Fox Hill on the eastern side here along the beach. These are going to be, if you want beach, this is some of the cheapest beach access you'll find along Buckrow Beach. You can get houses in the threes, not too far off the main drag along the beach. So like 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks, you're going to get some cheap beach access. Now you're going to get some that are going to be 4 or 5 and up as you get really close, and townhouses too. But salt ponds, 6, 7, and 800,000. Real nice, quiet, like kind of sort of private area beach access up there. But the whole section on the water, that's going to be different. But other than that, you're going to be paying $275, $250, $225 in some cases. Under $200,000 you'll find even in the central parts of Hampton. That includes Bethel, Phoebus also, which is just off the coast near Buckrow, but further down south, closer to Fort Monroe. This is kind of they're trying to make this kind of an up and coming area near the beach. Some downtown spots that kind of feel like even like a little bit of like a Louisiana, New Orleans vibe right around Mellon Street. So I like what they're doing here, but it's just not a lot of it. So around there, you're going to find that's a lot cheaper. And again, $225 is not unheard of, and $250, $275 in the rest of Hampton. So this is extremely affordable. Like the closest access to shopping, there's not too bad. So being near Hampton Coliseum is that's pretty handy shopping wise, and you're not too far away from there around most of Hampton within 10 or 15 minutes. So now coming in at number 29 on the list at $255,000 median sales price is going back into Portsmouth, our friend Portsmouth, the eastern side of Portsmouth, and that includes places like Parkview, even closer, even Old Town is included in that. That includes also Prentice Park, so going into the southern part. You'll find some places in Prentice Park and Craddock going further south that are 200 and under, 250, 275, and then going up into Old Town, that can be 350 to start, and going up into the 4, 5, 6 and up range. You got West Haven, West Parkview, Shade Terrace, a lot of houses that are going to be like that, again, 250 to 350, and that's what keeps these prices lower. So if you want something cheaper, older, most of these houses are going to be older, not as many new construction. You'll find some sprinkled in older neighborhoods. That's the primary way that new construction is built in neighborhoods and areas like this. Shopping isn't super brand new, like it kind of feels kind of old in a lot of parts of these eastern sides of Portsmouth, but cheaper houses in here. Drawbacks going to also be you're going to be closer to the tunnel, which can lead to traffic. And then rounding out the list at $235,000 median sales price, number 30 on the list is South Newport News. That's going into the downtown part of Newport News. This is an older part of town. It's got the downtown, and so it's got the court system down in this very southern corner. Newport News shipbuilding's over here. You have one area near Huntington Heights, which I do like for the price, over in the numbered streets right here. If you're going to be in the southern part, I checked this area out. Even though you're close to some busy roads, you can get right off there and get a really nice value. Otherwise, these are going to be like pretty cheap kind of older houses. You can get them even like 150, 175, 200, not unheard of at all. So do your research and see if this is an area you want to consider if you want to go lower in price. You're closer to 664. Also, it gives you access down to Suffolk. But again, as you get lower in price, you're definitely trading for lots of things that other people might be wanting that we're willing to pay more for. That's why we're at number 30, and we're at $235,000 median sales price. So if you plan to relocate to the Hampton Roads area that goes from Virginia Beach through Williamsburg, let me know. It's what I do. I love helping people relocate to the area. So if you have any questions, I have my contact information in the description. Call, email, text. You can reach out at any point, and I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate to the area. And I will see you on the next video.